Hello, everybody, and this is Michael Robbins, and I'm going to be leading this meditation today. I'm substituting for Tuya, who has many things to do right now. So this is a very important meditation, as you may know. It's the reappearance of the Christ meditation, and it was part of what was given by Master DK in his book Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. And he wanted his students, the members of his outer ashram, to be substituting such a meditation for their normal daily meditation on that particular day, Thursday, a Jupiter day, really, belonging to Thor, or Jeudi, Jupiter, and it is a second ray day. So it's very fitting that we do the meditation on that day. He asks us to assume an attitude of aspiration, devotion, prayer, fixed intention, in that order, and then follow the outline because the heart approach is needed. And when we do think of the Christ, we definitely think of the heart approach, certainly. Just want to adjust my sound here slightly. And, yep, all right, maybe that'll do. And then, of course, we're to lay practical plans regarding the reappearance of the Christ. Really, what does it mean to us? Is it only that the great Lord will reappear in his Maya Varupa and take guidance over many of humanity's affairs? It's not only that, but that, of course, is a tremendous factor. he comes as an energy as well, and the Christ principle in the heart and the mind of man will greatly expand. And when, I think it can be safely said that when we see through the Christ principle, when we observe through the Christ principle, when we have what's called the mind as it is in Christ, and I would add to that the heart as it is in Christ, all the possible perceptions really change. It's very difficult to even describe what happens. I'm sure you have the experience. What happens? Everything looks different. The presence of the soul in the consciousness is an existent fact and not just words. We really do begin to love our fellow human beings, and from the Buddhist perspective, all sentient beings, and we want the elevation of all these sentient beings so that they can move on accordingly on the path of evolution. We're really invested in the welfare of others. Now, the world is in a very glamorous, illusory state, and Maya is found everywhere. It's a huge battle. Master DK has talked about what a certain horror that the Christ must feel as he looks forward to correcting all this, of course with the help of human hands and human feet. After all, can we say the Christ is human? Well, we can say he's certainly part of the fourth creative hierarchy, the human hierarchy. We can say that, can't we? But naturally he is a planetary life by this time, and maybe beginning to verge on what we call a solar life, but certainly a planetary life. And that's even beyond those who are members of the kingdom of souls. I wonder, many of us have been raised where we've had our exposure to what the Christ is through the eyes of the church, different kinds of churches. Maybe it doesn't make any difference. They all have their limited perspectives, and very few can really deal with the essence of this great teacher who is maybe for the present era the greatest of all the inspirers. Until we come under his ray, under his radiation, I think we're just talking words, but when it happens, something extraordinary can happen to us as well, and we can be filled with the desire to communicate that to all human beings, which really will be done extensively during the age of Aquarius. The job will not be completed by the termination of the age of Aquarius, but many more people will be ready to enter the path of probationary initiation, and some will actually stand before the Christ in the initiatory rite. And by the time we reach the third decade of Aquarius, we're dealing with Venus, which is a planet very closely related to the Christ. It's a planet with a second ray, sixth ray essence. And somehow if you really look at the Buddha and the Christ is Venus and the Buddha is Mercury. And maybe if you look at Master KH and DK, Master KH is Venus and Master DK is Mercury. This is symbolically speaking, of course. So we really want to help with this process, because we realize that the salvation of humanity, so severe are the present planetary problems, does depend on the successful mission of the Christ, the Lord Maitreya, during the Aquarian Age. Now, think of it, we had him in the body of Master Jesus, at least overshadowing or taking control of the body for 3 years. From the time the age of the body of Jesus was 30 until he was crucified, 33. Many, symbolic numbers there and very important. However, now we will have the great Lord for centuries. Of course, he comes for his own, and he does have to be recognized, but it is said that every eye shall see him, even if every eye shall not recognize who he is. And that, there will be a fight against him because he comes in a way different from the way that the dogmatism of the church has anticipated. Anyway, forgetting the things which lie behind, we will strive towards our higher spiritual possibilities and dedicate ourselves anew to the service of the coming one, and for some of us at least, and hopefully more of us all the time, we will have no other life intention. At least that will be the great life intention in which we do many things. That will be the context in which we do them. Now, normally Tuya would be reading from the book, The Reappearance of the Christ, which we want to read all the way through with those who attend this group, but it also is to be read in Finnish, in the forthcoming Finnish translation of the book, and I'm not capable of that, so I'm just offering a few thoughts to stress the importance of this reappearance as a great planetary event, and those who understand even a little have to, perhaps should, participate in a way that really is helpful. Okay, so let's go on, and we'll begin our meditation. I'm using a different microphone here, so I hope it's okay. Anyway, when you have to do all these things, one person, you have to be a little more economical about space and equipment, so I hope it comes out okay. Triangle, we breathe in the white light. And we achieve a certain inner poise. So much about Libra is involved here, We achieve a certain inner poise. And we see our co-disciples, whoever we deem them to be, in the light. All the workers for the hierarchy and for the Christ in the light, strengthened by the light of hierarchy. And we focus then for a little while on our own triangle or little group of triangles we may have. We're just on the general, gathering of our triangles. This is not the meditation in which we do the entire triangle visualization with all the names of all the people, but our little group, whatever it may be, assuming that we're trying to work in triangles, as we should. And love and goodwill and light will pass through the members of our triangle of triangles. Love and goodwill and light, joining the triangle's network, adding its strength, redeeming with soul energy all the confusion and the unacceptable conditions on the outer levels of our planet at this time. The triangle's network is real, and we want to make it more and more real to our consciousness. And as the reality of it begins to dawn on us more and more, we know we're heading in the right direction. Now, we will achieve next stage here of the meditation, a positive and intended personality quietness. And we formulate clearly to ourselves, in our own words, the answers to the following questions. As a member of the new group of world servers, what is my specific intention at this moment of dedicated contact with my soul? And is my concentrated and expressed personality purpose in line with hierarchical intention as far as I am permitted to know it? What is my personality purpose? And especially when there is a degree of soul infusion going on, as there should be. Am I in line with hierarchical intention? And have I, in my own personal daily life, earned the right, because of definite effort and not so much because of success, to stand with those servers who are now undertaking the work of preparation? Motive and effort stand for a great deal, and the success will come along, of course. And DK tells us this is the one time in the meditation where we can think of ourselves, because it is a method of personality-focused attention and aligns our personality upon the mental plane. The masters are working on the mental plane. Okay. Now, having answered these three questions in the light of the soul, so we are at least with the program, you know. We think it's important and we work at it every week and we think about it every day. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to say the following mantra every day. Forgetting the things which lie behind, I will strive towards my higher spiritual possibilities. I dedicate myself anew to the service of the coming one, and will do all I can to prepare men's minds and hearts for that event. I have no other life intention. So ponder on that, because it's so demanding, but shows the marks of those who can be really used in this preparation work. And if we're, simply busy expressing our own soul, which is a good thing, but if we're busy only with that, we can't be used. Now we move on and we visualize as best we can, and in terms of our major world interest, which we may have just declared, in terms of our major world interests and with what knowledge of world affairs we may possess, we visualize the world situation. And we see the mass of men everywhere, on all the continents, glowing with a dim light. And here and there, points of brighter light where members of the new group of world servers and men of spiritual intention and loving hearts can be found working for their fellow human beings. And then we visualize through the creative imagination the vivid light of the hierarchy streaming towards humanity and slowly merging with the light which is already in humanity. All the points get brighter and brighter as the light of hierarchy slowly merges with the light that is in us. Then, under this sustained lighting influence of hierarchy, we say the first stanza of the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. We see that happening. Then we ponder on the reappearance of the Christ. Note not just the return, because he's always been here, but his reemergence into visibility for so many who have not seen him. Realize that no matter by what name he may be called in the many world religions, he is still the same great identity. And reflect and speculate upon the possible results of his appearance. And that is an ongoing thing, you know, to speculate on the possible results of his reappearance. It's a very rich area, and you could think of all the 7 ashramic areas: politics, education, finance, art, science, religion, magic, whatever you want to call them. All of them will be profoundly affected. It's said that the knowledge that he is ready and anxious publicly to appear to his loved humanity only adds to the sense of general frustration. And another very vital question arises: for what period of time must we endure, struggle and fight? Those who are fighting for the hierarchical values. And the reply comes that he will come unfailingly. 1, when a measure of peace has been restored. 2, when the principle of sharing is at least in process of controlling economic affairs. And 3, when the churches and political groups have begun to clean house. That already we are seeing. Maybe that's the outer evidence that will bring about the sharing, which will bring about the peace. Then he can come and will come. Then the kingdom of God will be publicly recognized. Imagine. Not in some distorted dogmatic form, but more or less as it is, and will no longer be a thing of dreams and of wishful thinking and of orthodox hope. Then we will say the second stanza of the invocation. From the point of love, within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. And that's not a religious statement, you know. He is the same great identity for all the world religions, the major world religions. the head of the hierarchy, and the teachers within these religions, they are all subservient to him. Then we endeavor to concentrate our fixed intention to serve and spread love in our surroundings. So important, think about it, and realize that insofar as you can do these things, you are attempting to blend your personal will with the divine will. It pretty much says the divine will is love in this second-ray solar system and on this second-ray soul planet. So it's our own little approach to what will one day be momentous. Thy will, not mine, be done. May divine love, which really is the love of the monad, first comes spiritual love, then divine, may it flow through me. And then we will say the next stanza of the great invocation. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. That purpose surely is, the emerging of the soul of our planetary logos, which is on the second ray of love wisdom, and of which the reappearance of the Christ is the harbinger. Then we are to lay practical plans, to consider practically what we can do in the coming week to further the preparations for the coming of the Christ. It doesn't make any difference with what ashram we may be working in affiliation. Help is needed all around in all of the areas, and we can find our way to help with this most important part of the immediate divine plan. We're a part of a group of working forerunners. The year of the forerunners is ending in 2025. Then things will really begin to happen in terms of the externalization process. Not yet the Christ, because so many things on the outer plane have to be established first. So in the presence of your solar angel, make a definite plan for the coming week and determine how you will help in the preparations, and make a note, write it down, signal it for yourself. And then we seek to respond to the vibration of the Christ, and let us commit ourselves in His name. And so we make this commitment. We have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. Now we sound the Om 3 times, sacred word, dedicating the threefold personality to the work of preparation, and let us start with the mind and descend to the outer physical form. So, it is the most important thing happening on the planet right now, and whatever else we're doing, it can be part of the process of helping humanity understand the Christ as he really is. I mean, what do we know? We don't know thoroughly, but we know better, maybe, or more. The Christ as he really is, and the hierarchy as his closest disciples, and helping people understand what is this cloud of witnesses, this great spiritual hierarchy which is also planning to externalize, holding in its ranks many of the famous spiritual leaders of the past. Humanity needs to know these things. So let's do what we can, remaining alert every moment to the possibility of sharing with others this wonderful vision. We thank you for your meditative support, and if tangible support is possible, please go to the Moria Federation website or to the Seven Ray Institute website and help us in that way. We want to continue this work, reaching out to spread, well, it's the good news. The Global Ask program is being enriched as we move forward, and there are so many ways that we can help interiorly. The good must descend. We are preparing the way. You can write to the Global Ask Project at gmail.com if you would like to be more deeply involved. The work of triangles must go on. globaltriangles at gmail.com. Of course, Lucis Trust has the triangles, and other groups have the triangles, of course. It's all part of one big thing. But if you want to form triangles, your name with two other names, your email addresses, your home countries. The Blue Rose Sisterhood, we have ongoing work to create the chalice for the rising of the Christ consciousness. You can write to the Blue Rose Sisterhood at gmail.com, and Tuya can accept you into the group. Whether you're a man or woman or man, it makes no difference. We have our Blue Rose Sisters and Shiva Brothers. So, if you wish to participate, let us know. We do have some ongoing programs, and even tonight at 10 o'clock, our time, 7 o'clock GMT, we're talking about the names of Mary in relation to Shambhala. The 24 days following the traditional death of Mary leading to the birth of Mary. 24 days, the number of Shambhala. So we'll be running some videos day after day that give us a chance to think about these deep qualities, or Lakshmi names, the names of the inner lotus petals. The Moria Federation, if you wish to study deep and hard the ageless wisdom and to assimilate it before, well, as much as we can, before the year 2025, when the third installment is said to begin, then join us in our studies at the Moria Federation. It's all part of the University of Seven Rays. It's the internet branch of the University of the Seven Rays. And obviously the new esoteric psychology of the Seven Rays, with astrology and study of the centers, has to make its way into the human race, into their consciousness. And we honor the great teacher, Master DK, as the messenger of the masters, who with permission is bringing out new aspects of the ageless wisdom for mature men and women who want to advance spiritually so they can help the race. And this is about the music, some of the music we use. Harold has been the composer of some, I've been the composer of others, and much of the music that we hear here is Harold's, and I broadcast the music I've written on a monthly basis in terms of solar fire rituals. Please join us when you get notification. I'm there meditating. We can all meditate together. So thank you, friends, for joining us. Appreciate your presence. And we continue, I think tomorrow morning, according to our schedule, the webinar on the science of triangles, and then in the evening, the dissipation of glamour. I think we'll be working on, well, this glamour of lying, perhaps. They're all interrelated. There's so much falsehood being thrown forth on the world stage, as if people cannot discriminate truth from falsehood. So let's work on that together internally. So one will be at 5 a.m. GMT and the other at 5 p.m. GMT. Both are webinars, and I trust by this time you have the webinar link. If you don't, then please write to me, infinitize8@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that you get the link. Thank you, and many blessings and love from Tuya and myself and all the members of the, well, Blue Rose and the Moria Federation and the university and so forth. All of us gathered together. Lots of love to everybody. And we'll talk to you later. Many blessings.